Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends. We are here. End of the season. Week 18 in the motherfucking books. I do have to mention that my compadre Dannon won the league that we were all in, that I was the front runner, that I had the best team the entire year, that I should have won. He won the winner take all. He beat I don't remember who he beat in the finals. Oh, I think it was Brandon B. Randon. Yeah, so he beat him, and he is the champ. I guess when he arrives here next, I will have to address him as the champ. I'm not happy about it, but he did. He barely got into the playoffs. He got into the playoffs because Kyler Murray broke his ankle, and and then ended up winning the whole thing. Pretty crazy. Speaking of winning the whole thing, last night was Monday night. There was no football. There was no NFL football, I guess I should say, but there was a JV team and a varsity team that played a pickup high school football game on ESPN. And I was like, why would they do this? Like, why would they show the B team versus the A team in what is clearly two different tiers of team, and then call it a national championship? And I can tell you why. Because no matter how many ways you try to spin this playoff, no matter how much you try to say like, oh, we're going to put, and listen, what TCU did against Michigan was incredible. They had a great game plan, and they came out and they punched them in the mouth early, and they held them off later on in that game. And, defense stepped up when it needed to. But last night against a much better team in Georgia, they just got, 65-7 or something like that. It was just it was an ass beating, an absolute ass beating. Probably historic. I don't know. I don't really keep up with college football, but college football is a joke. It's the same 10 teams. There's no parity. It's the same group. It's the same, you've got your big schools that aren't really going to go away. They're not really going to change. And Georgia's been Georgia. And, you've got all your SEC schools of LSU and Alabama and all these schools that are just always going to be good, and they're always going to win, and they're always going to be thought of that way. And you have teams that kind of rise, and then we see a fall for a little bit, like Florida and University of Texas, and then they come back and it's them again. And it's the same group. People like TCU, it's an amazing story. I'm glad that they got in the dance, but then when they got there, is this really what you wanted? Did you really want to get embarrassed the way that whole thing went down last night? So congrats to Georgia back to back. I still don't think that Stetson Bennett guy is going to be shit in the NFL. He's just too small, and I just don't see his arm strength being enough for the NFL. But I guess we'll have to see, because he will get a chance. Bernie Madoff, not a sports star. Wow, we watched the Bernie Madoff documentary. I just wanted to shout that out. Go ahead and pop that on if you're on Netflix and looking for something to watch. That's a really good one. Man, I had no idea. I did not know the lengths that the man went to, and the amount of money that he straight up stole from people. And just to hear some of the testimony of how he did it. And I mean, even the people that got stolen from ended up having to give money back from the money that, if they withdrew from Bernie's accounts, they ended up having to give that money back because they didn't know where else the money was supposed to come from, that he had embezzled. The best embezzler, the GOAT embezzler, Bernie Madoff. But it's definitely I need to go back and watch that Robert De Niro show where they did a thing about his life. I need to go back and watch that too. But Bernie Madoff documentary, Netflix. Check it out. Let's get to it. First down. Week 18, where all the finals were final. The cookie crumbled, and somebody ate the crumbles. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know that there were a lot of playoff clinching things that went down, a lot of big games, a lot of flops by some people, a lot of people that came out and laid an egg, and we're going to get into it. Starting off with Saturday night, we had two games. The first game, Kansas City at Vegas, that one was, the only thing that was happening there was Kansas City wins, they get the first round bye. Well, guess who they're playing? The Las Vegas Raiders. You're going to get that win. The Raiders suck. The Kansas City was an 8.5 point favorite, and Patrick Mahomes played, I think, the whole game. I don't think there was anybody. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe at the very end they pulled him out. But I was impressed to see Kansas City keep a lot of their starters out there. I know they wanted the number one. They wanted the bye, so they were trying to win the game. But it was still impressive to see. They had them beat pretty early. I didn't think there was really much of a game in this. Vegas, I'm out. I'm completely out. I'm not doing it again next year. The only way that you're going to sway me is if Tom Brady is your quarterback. I think that would excite me, but I am not going to sit here and believe that I'm not going to sit here and believe in the Las Vegas Raiders ever again. You won't get me. I said y'all were going to win the division, okay? I'm out of my fucking mind. But Kansas City was an 8.5 point favorite. I took Kansas City. I got it right. They beat them 31-13 on Saturday about in the afternoon. Then we had the night game. This was a big one. This was to win the division. This was win and you're in. Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville, a 6.5 point favorite. A little high. I know it was Josh Dobbs, and I know that, it wasn't the best Tennessee team lately, but I still thought, division-wise, maybe this number was a little high. Maybe I didn't take all that into account when I made my pick, because I picked Jacksonville to cover the 6.5 point favorite that they are at home, and they did not cover that. They did get a great win. They were down in this game and battled back. The Jacksonville Josh Allen with the scoop and score to eventually win the game, and Josh Dobbs is not the answer for Tennessee. So, the quarterback position is still a problem. They're still trying to figure that out. I would love if Tom Brady would go there. I think that's a much better fit. But, it just very interesting. Very interesting the way that this went down. I think that if you go back about 10 weeks, you can find on this very show me saying you can go ahead and write your mortgage check that Tennessee is going to be hosting a playoff game and it's going to be in Tennessee and blah, 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 blah. But all of that was I had no idea they were going to go on the run that they did, where they lost, I think, 6 in a row. And, Ryan Tannehill out for the year. Not that he's great, but now, when you see the backups are as bad as they are, Tennessee had no shot in this. So, Jacksonville, from first pick last year to in the playoffs, what a turnaround. Really impressive. I think Trevor Lawrence is the guy. I think you found your quarterback, so you can go ahead and continue to build on the already. I mean, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, these are free agents. Zay Jones, free agent. They went. Travis Etienne got to play a whole year this year. He looks really good. I'm into him next year. But very interesting. Very interesting that Tennessee fucked this up. They're a well-coached team. They fired 4 of their assistants. Of course, not Mike Vrabel, but I thought that was interesting too, to see that they got rid of some of the side help, and maybe they're going to bring in something different. And maybe that is a new quarterback. I don't know what Ryan Tannehill's contract situation is, but I know that they are not in love with it. And But yeah, Jacksonville got in. I'll beat them 20-16 in a really good game on Saturday night. I have to bring this up first. I'm so fucking over being a Houston Texans fucking fan. Why? You've lost all year. You've been terrible all year. And then finally, in the moment where you can have the number 1 pick, and all you have to do is just lose a game in Indianapolis, a division rival. The Indianapolis Colts are a 2.5 point favorite because they figure, what the fuck does Houston have to play for? And Lovie Smith gets fired hours after the game, because I'm sure Cal McNair even had a conversation of, listen, I don't want to tell you to throw this game, but if you were to throw this game, it wouldn't upset me. I wouldn't mind the number one pick. And Chicago lost, so Chicago got the number one pick, and we fucked it up. I guess the positive is that they're not going to draft a quarterback, you would think. So hopefully we can still get, and if I end up with one of the two, if I end up with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I think I'm happy because CJ Stroud looked really good in that Ohio State Georgia game. I was very impressed with CJ Stroud. I think he's an NFL talent for sure. So I'm happy with either one. I really want Bryce Young. So hopefully Chicago just loves a defensive end, falls in love with somebody else and takes them instead. But the more likelihood is that they're going to trade that first pick to somebody who is desperate for a quarterback, a la Tennessee or the New York Jets or, any of these teams that are almost there, but they just don't have a quarterback. Washington, they might trade up to try to go get a future franchise quarterback that is Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. There's going to be some other guys in this draft too, but God damn it, the Houston Texans just can't. And it felt like a fuck you to all the fans too. Like, wow. So you didn't play hard all year. Now we're excited about being the number one pick, and you motherfuckers go for 2 to win the game? Fuck y'all. Unbelievable. For fourth down is where they converted that tying touchdown. 4th and 12, I think it was. Unfucking believable. Yeah. Fucking Texans. Anyways, enough about them. Shitty game with a shitty ending. Now we're the number 2 pick. Great. Fantastic. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I believe the starters played until right before the half because it was in the second quarter where I saw Blaine Gabbert out there. So I believe he got pulled with about 5 minutes left in the second quarter. So didn't even play the whole half. Actually, they came out and looked okay. And then second half, the non-starters for the defense on Tampa Bay just really couldn't stop Desmond Ridder, who doesn't look like a bad quarterback. I would say in the quarterbacks that we saw kind of get their beaks wet this year, Kenny Pickett has obviously got to be number one. That was a good choice by Pittsburgh. They did a good job there. And then I would say that he's probably number 2. We didn't get to see enough of that guy from Washington last night, but I could say all 3 of those not bad. Not they're probably backups. They're probably not starters in this league, but not bad. Yeah. But yeah, 17-30, Atlanta won this game. I picked Indianapolis in the last one. I did not get that right because Houston fucking winning the game. I picked Tampa Bay because I'm always going to ride with you, Tom Brady, even if you're not playing the whole game. I'm going to pick you too, Blaine Gabbert. Just kidding. And so they did not win this game. Atlanta was a 3-point favorite. I got that wrong. New England at Buffalo. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. New England needed to win, and they were in. After the Damar Hamlin saga that everybody gives so much a shit about. And listen, I'm not trying to talk bad about Damar Hamlin, but nobody knew this fucking guy's name 2 weeks ago. And he has this terrible thing happen to him on the field. And now we're all being so woke and, my thoughts go out to his family and his. Shut the fuck up. You didn't fucking care about him. I'll tell you, like most folks in the world, I'll be real. We just wanted the game to keep going. I felt bad. It was unfortunate that it happened to him. I was sad for him and his teammates and his family, but I'm a normal person. I'm not donating to Toys for Tots for him, and I'm not going crazy. It's so hilarious, all the virtue signaling that this country is now. This country is just anything that we're all supposed to say. Everyone like sheep just goes, oh yeah, love for Hamlin. Shut the fuck up. You did not fucking know who Damar Hamlin was. I didn't know who the fuck he was. He's a 6th-round safety that was in there filling in for Micah Hyde, who's out for the year, and Jordan Poyer, who can't stay healthy. So their secondary has had some rotating rookies and this kind of shit. It was a pre-existing condition that was probably in his body that he had no idea about. He got hit just right, and it caused a cardiac arrest. It was terrible that it happened on the field. It caused a big uproar. But for us to all be wearing shirts saying love for Hamlin. I mean, look, I'm not trying to wish ill on anyone. It's not like I wanted him to die, but just play football. Just play football. Just shut the fuck up. Shut up and dribble. But yeah, Buffalo was an 8-point favorite, and I kind of thought, well, they were playing for seeding. If they won, they got the number 2 seed. I feel so bad for Cincinnati. They were really screwed in all this. And New England had to win, so I don't know. I just couldn't imagine that the Patriots could come in there and get it done, especially after what just happened. I knew they'd be galvanized by all this, by all the Hamlin love. And from the opening play, first play, and Naheem Hines running it back for a touchdown, it was like, New England ain't going to. And then he ran another one back. It was unreal. But Buffalo won 35-23. They knocked New England out of the playoffs. Bill Belichick has already announced that he'll be coming back. If there's one guy who's not going to get fired, it is Bill Belichick. So I'm not crazy about Mac Jones. I don't know how they feel about it, but I'm not crazy about him. If you're a Patriots fan, I can't imagine you're like, yeah, this is the future. Now, that being said, the offense was really weird all year. They didn't have a real play caller. They had Matt Patricia, who's a defensive-minded guy out there. He had a cup of tea as a head coach with the Detroit Lions, but they need to figure out something for the offense. They need to figure out how to make Mac Jones better, but this was not it. This year was not it, and so they would have just been a sacrificial lamb. They would have gone right back to Buffalo. They would have just revisited this game, and they would have got crushed again. So is what it is. I took Buffalo in this. I got it right. They definitely covered the 8 points. And New England on to next year, as Bill would say, on to next year. Minnesota at Chicago. Minnesota was a 4-point favorite on the road. I just didn't know what Minnesota would be playing for other than to try to hold on to their pride. But they came out and they played a lot of starters. I don't know for how long. I didn't really watch a lot of this game, but Chicago, a really bad team. And that's my hope, is that maybe they love Justin Fields, but they have so much else that they have to work on. Their defensive side, their offensive line. There really is a lot to left desire for the Chicago Bears. And Minnesota, finally, bad team, easy win, double digits. Got it done. I do not believe in Minnesota at all. We will get to it coming up here, but I definitely think the Giants are going to win this game. And I'm not big on Minnesota at all. But I got this wrong. Baltimore at Cincinnati. I don't know why this number was so big. I did not know the number when I made this pick. I might have made a different pick. I am a Swaggy Joey supporter, as you all know. But they did almost cover. They won by 11, not 12. So they were an 11.5-point favorite. Cincinnati was at home. And division rival, I know that Lamar Jackson did not play. They're saving him for next week, where they will go right back to Cincinnati and play in the same exact stadium and play Cincinnati again. You had Joe Mixon taking the coin out of his glove and flipping it and then kicking it, saying, fuck all that noise. We're not flipping a coin. We're playing right here. Cincinnati's a hot team, man. They are a hot team. Good luck with that. I think Cincinnati smokes Baltimore, but they are just a 6.5-point favorite in this playoff game because I'm assuming Lamar Jackson will be back. But 16-27, Cincinnati got it done, locked up the number 3 seed and won that division. What a turnaround from the beginning, right? Start 0-2, people counted them out. I told you, give it time. Cincinnati will bounce back. They will be the Super Bowl. I think in the AFC, I would put them as a favorite over Kansas City and Buffalo, and not because I don't think that Kansas City and Buffalo are not talented, but I think with the ice in his veins, I think Cincinnati with Joe Burrow can go do whatever he wants. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. They are easily going to beat Baltimore again. Cincinnati will be even more hyped up for this next game, just like me, hyped up. Yeah, I'm a big Swaggy Joey supporter. The Jets at the Dolphins. So with the New England Patriots losing, if the Dolphins win, then they were in. And they were in one of the most boring games of the year, of a field goal game where nobody could get possession, nobody could score. It was Skylar Thompson out there for the Miami Dolphins against Joe Flacco for the New York Jets. Who would have thought? Miami was a 4-point favorite at home. I just thought that the Jets might spoil this. I thought with Joe Flacco, he looked good early in the year. I thought maybe they could come out and score some points. And they would spoil this for Miami, but that was not the case. Miami was winning 9-6 when there was some crazy fuckery at the end of the game, and they were trying to play the lateral game, and Miami ended up knocking the ball into the end zone, and then somebody else fell on the end zone. There was a safety, so then we ended up 6-11. Miami did not cover the 4 points. Oh, wait a minute. That means I got that right because I picked the Jets. And, oh, wait, yes, they did. They won by 5. I did not get that right. I picked the Jets, and they lost 6-11. Math is hard. Carolina at New Orleans, a game that meant nothing, so we will barely talk about it. New Orleans was a 3.5-point favorite. Carolina won 10-7. Carolina's coach, Steve Wilkes, has done a really good job. He might maybe be considered. I don't know if Sam Darnold is necessarily the answer. They might want to draft somebody. And New Orleans, they do not have a quarterback. They need one desperately. Andy Dalton, Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, none of them. None of them are your quarterback. You got to go find the replacement to Drew Brees. But this game meant nothing for the playoffs. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. This was a big one because Pittsburgh needed this win in case New England lost and Miami lost. And they did. They got a good win. Kenny Pickett, like I said, not bad at all. I like what I see out of him. I like that George Pickens, too. I'm into that next year. But Pittsburgh won 28-14. Deshaun, again, I'm writing off this year. I'm not really, but I've taken my foot off the gas as far as claiming that they're just going to dominate next year. I'm not so sure that's how it's going to go, but I don't know. We'll see how this offseason goes, but I still believe he'll have a much better second year, and that this year was just kind of kicking the rust off and playing football, So, but yeah, 14-28, Pittsburgh won, but it was unfortunate because Miami had already won, and so it did not matter. They were not going to make the playoffs. They were eliminated from the playoffs. The Chargers at the Broncos. Absolutely nothing to do with the playoffs here. They were not going to change their seed. They were always going to stay the 5 seed. Chargers had no chance of moving up. And yet, for some reason, Brandon Staley throws all his starters out there for a good majority of the game, loses Joey Bosa and Mike Williams. Now, some people are saying that the Joey Bosa injury is not that serious. The Mike Williams injury looked pretty serious. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you saw that happening during a regular season game, you'd be like, oh, he's going to miss some weeks. Well, they don't have weeks. They're in the playoffs. They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars this week in Jacksonville. They need to be ready to go. So no Joey Bosa and no Mike Williams. Those are 2 stars on your team. The Chargers were a 3-point favorite on the road. I do not pick the Denver Broncos, and I do not pick the Las Vegas Raiders anymore. But maybe I should have, because the Denver Broncos ended up winning this game 31-28. Again, really not sure what Staley was doing there. I don't know why you would bring those in like that and play them as much as you did in a game that means nothing, means absolutely nothing. It's not going to change anything. These other teams, Kansas City's playing for a seed. In this next game, Philadelphia is playing for a seed. That's why the Giants couldn't move their seed spot, so they didn't play anybody. But yeah, Chargers lost this game and lost 2 good players, and we'll see if they can bounce back from it. I don't think they can. The New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. This was a big number, and that's why I got this right, because I thought even with it being the backups of the backups for the Giants, I just felt like maybe that Philly might even get to the point where they take their foot off the pedal too, because it's like once we got the win, we got the win, and it really doesn't matter. As soon as we win, this is all good. We don't need to worry about it. We just need to get out of here with everybody healthy. So this number was too big, and 14 ended up being too big because Philadelphia did win 22-16. I like Jalen Hurts, and I'm big on the Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all know that. I've rode for them all year, but I kind of feel like the tides might have changed and that one of these other teams in the NFC could fuck around and knock them off in week 2 of the playoffs. So not dead set on them being your Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, but we got to see what happens. You know, they definitely are going to get the bye and get to rest Jalen Hurts up another week and get everybody healthy. And, you know, you'll have to go to Philly. They're the number 1 seed. Arizona at San Francisco. Meant nothing. I think maybe for seeding. Maybe that's why Minnesota and San Francisco were playing, was for the number 2 seed. But yeah, the Arizona Cardinals with David Blau just could not hang with this San Francisco team, which is a very good team. I took the 14 points in this because I don't like Arizona, and I don't think that the backups are going to compete against this defense. And I was right. 14 points was plenty. They won 38-13 in San Francisco. And I got to tell you, Brock Purdy, wow. I mean, do I think he can win a Super Bowl? It's too early for me to say that. But their defense is legit. The way Kyle Shanahan calls his offense is legit. They're too legit to quit. So far, so good. I think San Francisco's really got a very good chance in the playoffs here with as deep as a team as they have. But yeah, big win. And I got that right. I went on a little run here on the second half. I fucked up the first half, went on a run on the second half, ended up getting 7 out of the 16 right. Fuck on me. What? And Rams at Seattle. Seattle needed this win. Needed it. And the Baker Mayfield-led Rams gave them all that they could handle. I believe this game went to overtime, and Seattle ended up kicking the field goal to win the game. I believe that, Seattle in the playoffs, unfortunately, I think you're about to be a sacrificial lamb to San Francisco, but very impressed with Geno Smith. I did not expect this at all from him. They were a 6.5 point favorite at home. Seattle was. I took them. I was wrong. They only won by 3. But Seattle, lot to hang their hat on, a lot to build on for next year. Kenneth Walker and all that. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Seattle. I'm impressed with what they did. I did not have them in the playoffs. I thought they'd be one of the worst teams in the league, but good for them. Yeah. Dallas at Washington was wow. Dallas was a 4-point favorite on the road. Washington was throwing out their rookie that had never started a game yet, Sam Howell, I believe his name was. And you would have thought that Washington was like, we have got to win this game to get into the playoffs. And you would have thought that Dallas was rolling all its non-starters out there. Well, that's not the case, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dak Prescott out there doing exactly what I've told you that he does. And in the biggest moments, his butthole puckers and he fucking disappears. You got to be real discouraged. Now you're going to Tampa on Monday night? Okay. Good luck. Good fucking luck, because I don't think so. I think you're going to get stomped out. I think Tom Brady in the playoff. Well, I shouldn't say stomped out. I think you're going to get beat, and it's going to be a close game, but I think you get beat on a Tom Brady drive where he knows exactly how much time is left and he knows what he's doing. And I think Dak will eventually fuck this up because that's what Dak does. But yeah, crazy game. 6-26. Washington kind of putting a sour taste in their mouth as they travel to Tampa Bay this week. Detroit at Green Bay. Boy, oh boy, that was a good game. Really, really good game there on Sunday night. That was when Green Bay wins and they get in, right? And they're a 4.5 point favorite at home. And Detroit and Dan Campbell said, fuck all that noise. We are going to win this game. I told you they were going to win this game. I told you Detroit was going to play spoiler, and they did. 20-16. Jared Goff played just well enough. The hook and lateral play from Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. Talk better. Was incredible. And I loved it. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, you're excited about next year, I'd say you go with Jared Goff. Hey, listen, number 8 on the fantasy football quarterbacks. Very impressive this year, Jared Goff was. So I would go with Jared Goff for next year. I think you build around him. You need defensive players, obviously. The defense was the worst part of this team. Offense was one of the best in the leagues. So as long as you can not let them score as much, I think you're in a really good spot. And possibly we saw Aaron Rodgers play his last game of the year of his career. Maybe he's definitely hinting at it. He always does. It's always I could retire. It's always that shit. So that shouldn't be surprising. But yeah, he threw a pick at the end of the game. I don't know if you're a Green Bay Packers fan. Don't you kind of want to find something else? Don't you want to figure out what's the next step? Because we're coming to the end of the road here. I mean, Tampa Bay's got accepted too. This is it. This is your last shot with Tom Brady. Next year, he will not be there. He will either be retired or he will be on another team. I think that's written in the stars. Green Bay doesn't have that written in the stars, but interesting couple of days that are about to come up to see what Aaron Rodgers thinks. But Aaron Rodgers kind of, in the biggest moments, pucker, butthole, pucker.
Second down.
So we had some fantasy football come to an end. Yes, most of us last week. Dannons did go into 2 weeks, so he did week 17 and 18. But I just wanted to kind of go over the top scorers, especially of the flex and the quarterback position, to see if Josh was right or wrong. And I got to be honest, if I'm just looking at this here, I've got a top 20. Let me do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's half. It's 10 out of the 20 are running backs. And I've only got one tight end on that top 20 list. I'll give you a guess who he is. And the rest are receivers. So of the flex positions that I have always claimed were big receivers, you need receivers. And there are some receivers that you need. But I don't believe that I was right that doing 3 receivers is the way to go. I think you got to mix it up. And the number one person on that scoring list at 375 points, just slightly ahead of 373-point Justin Jefferson, incredible, is Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is proof that you can believe all you want in the wide receivers, but the running back, I would venture to say the running back position is very important. And, I was wrong on the number 3 person. The number 3 person at 358 points is Christian McCaffrey. He stayed healthy through the entire year. I would not doubt if that is your top 3 next year. Austin Eckler 1, Justin Jefferson 2, Christian McCaffrey 3. I wouldn't argue with it, and I think I'd have to agree with it. Austin Eckler is an incredible talent. He catches the ball so much. They're a young team that I don't think a lot is going to change next year. So I'm very into Austin Eckler next year. If I was the number 1 pick, I'm still picking Travis Kelce. That's for different reasons. But I understand why you want Austin Eckler number 1 overall. He's so good. So very good. So was Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey had a great year. Justin Jefferson, man. I thought Tyreek Hill was going to be the slam dunk number 1 wide receiver for this year that I would take off the board next year, but it's not a slam dunk. Justin Jefferson's a slam dunk. Justin Jefferson is the one that was so close to Megatron's record. And I think he's got to be in the conversation for number one pick too, especially if you believe in receivers the way I do. He had a Cooper Cup type season this year. So Christian McCaffrey stayed healthy the whole year though. And I need to get some of this egg off my face because I was wrong. But especially on a San Francisco 49er team, he's going to be very valuable again next year. So I would take McCaffrey for sure in the first round next year. Because I was wrong. Tyreek Hill came in at number 4 at 353. We've talked about him. I mean, just incredible talent, and I don't see that going anywhere, and we'll see who the quarterback is for the Miami Dolphins. Can you stick with Tua? I don't know. Devontae Adams came in at number 5. He was 341 points. This next one blows my fucking mind and makes me so angry, but Josh Jacobs was number 6 with 336 of all the years that I believed in you, Josh Jacobs. And this is the year that you do this to me? Fuck you. And do I think he's going to do it again next year? No, I don't, because I think that would be the year that I draft him and then he fucking does nothing the way that he usually does. So fuck Josh Jacobs, fuck the Raiders, fuck Darren Waller, probably fuck Devontae Adams. I don't even think I'm going to do that. The only thing that could change my mind is Tom Brady coming to your team. And again, I hope that's not happening. I hope that he's going to go somewhere else and try to win. So, but I lost my phone. No, I found it. I'm here. We're good. The number 7, Stephon Diggs. Great year. There's a little bit of drop off here though from 336 and Devontae Adams at 341. Then we go to 7, 319. So we see our first little 20-point drop. Stephon Diggs was a great wide receiver. If I'm in the lower half of the first round, I feel very comfortable taking Stephon Diggs, especially of people like Jamar Chase, who I like, but maybe there is too many mouths to feed, and maybe there will be some injury problems, and maybe, you know. So, big fan of Stephon Diggs. Number 8. Out of all the players that could be, out of all the receivers and running backs that could score points, this man, Travis Kelce, scored 316 points. He scored more than Derrick Henry, than A.J. Brown, than CeeDee Lamb, than Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Tony Pollard, Devontae Smith, Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook. He scored more than all of them because he is a receiver with a big body at a tight end position. What? He's so good. His hands are so good. But yeah, I just kind of, I very quickly just went through the list here. Derrick Henry is number 9. A.J. Brown finished out our number 10. CeeDee Lamb was number 11. Saquon Barkley at number 12. Nick Chubb at number 13. Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 14. Jalen Waddle coming in still in the top 20, still did a great job. Tony Pollard at number 16, that's a big change. Devontae Smith at number 17, number 18, Ramondre Stevenson, 19, Aaron Jones, and 20, Dalvin Cook. You know, I'm happy with all those. I am blown away that Tony Pollard is in a top 20. That really shows that the idea that we had that he could be such a big weapon came true. It did. It came true right in front of our very eyes. Devontae Smith coming in at the top 20. Y'all can all suck my dick. I fucking told you what was going to happen. Just briefly, just because I wrote it down over here. It's just unreal. Travis Kelce scored 316 points. Now, this is in my league, so it might be give or take somewhere from that, but he scored 316 points. The next closest to him, take a wild guess. I bet you would say Mark Andrews, right? That seems like the logical one, but it's not. He had some great games early on with Detroit, and then he got traded to Minnesota, and then he had some okay games and then great games, and then okay games and then great games. And his name is TJ Hawkinson. And TJ Hawkinson, okay, Travis Kelce's at 316. Hawkinson, 215. He scored 101 more points than the next best. That's insane. Insane, okay? That is, I'm trying to make the comparison here. So, Patrick Mahomes, who is the number 1 ranked quarterback for this year, scored 512, and Geno Smith, who's the number 5. That's right, you heard me right. Geno Smith is the number 5 fantasy quarterback this year, scored 366. So, what's that, 150? That's pretty astronomical, right? From 1 to 5. But from 1 to 4 is Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, who missed some games and scored 425 points. And that's only about 80 points, give or take, 80, 90 points. So the parity is there in the quarterback position. I was wrong on that too. I thought there were 20 good quarterbacks. I don't think that anymore. I think that there are only about 4 or 5. He scored 100 more points than TJ Hawkinson. Then you look at the rest of this shit. George Kittle, 203. Mark Andrews, 190. Evan Ingram, 176. Taysom Hill, 155. Tyler Higbee, 152. All these are higher register. Cole Kmet, 150. Freiermuth, 148. Dalton Schultz, 142. Njoku, 142. And Dallas Goedert rounds out your top 10. Speak better. Speak more better. But for 141 to be where your number 10 is, and for Travis Kelce to be at 316, that is nuts. That is nuts. That's why I want him number 1. He puts you so much farther ahead than the rest of the tight end positions. You plug it in, you lock it away, and you just don't give a fuck after that. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what my plan is. If I'm the number 1 pick, I want that Travis Kelce. And the reason why is because the number 1 quarterback for this year was Patrick Mahomes at 512 points. Josh Allen was right behind him at 484. Joe Burrow nipping at both of their heels at 437. And Jalen Hurts at number 4 at 425. You know, especially that 3-headed monster in the AFC, the Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, that is not going anywhere. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going anywhere either. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to lock him up to a big deal, especially depending on what happens in the playoffs this year. But let's say he just goes to a Super Bowl or wins a Super Bowl, he's definitely going nowhere. But the number 5 fantasy football quarterback, Geno Smith, if I would have offered you $1 million to take that bet, said it's free money. You can take this bet, or you can keep the $1 million. Every single person's keeping the $1 million. Every single person is looking at you going, fuck no, Brian, betting on Geno Smith. Fuck that. But let one of his teammates fucking break his jaw. Shut the fuck off. But yeah. Kirk Cousins was number 6, 362. Trevor Lawrence, 348. Jared Goff, 345. And Justin Fields, 344. Rounding out the top 10 was Justin Herbert. Got to tell you, Justin Herbert, this was a fall for me. I'm not interested in that next year. Also in the quarterback position, you see the parity. There is a huge drop-off from Jalen Hurts to Geno Smith. 425, 366. You know, that's 70 points almost. I mean, you divide that over the time, that's a lot of points to be given up every single week where you could be with one of the way better quarterbacks. So we'll see. But I think quarterbacks are going to go early next year. I really do. I think they're going to go early.
Third down.
Wild thing. Wild card. What? It's a wild card weekend. We got 6 games coming up here. Playoff football. There is nothing quite like it. I am very pumped. Me and my friend Alexander that y'all met last week, he's going to come and watch the games on Sunday. We're going to get a little crazy. We're going to, live the good life. There are some matchups that I think are overmatched. I think that there are some that are going to be blowouts. I think it's all the 2 and 7s. The 2 and 7s, I do not give the 7s a chance, especially if Tua doesn't play. The first game of the week is going to be on Saturday at about 3, and it's going to be, I think, 3:30. Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco is a 10-point favorite. I think that's plenty. I think San Francisco wins this game pretty handedly. I've tipped my hat to Seattle. They've done a very good job, but I just don't think I don't think they have enough. I don't think they have enough to win this game. So I'm going to take San Francisco in this to cover the 10 points, and I think they roll pretty easily over Seattle. Then the night game is a really good game. It's an even spread. Vegas has no idea, which is kind of rude. I kind of think just because of the home field, you might give a couple of maybe 1 or 2 points to Jacksonville, but I guess that means they think that truthfully the Chargers are a 3-point favorite. But it is an even spread. Chargers at Jacksonville, like we talked about. I mean, Mike Williams being out, Joey Bosa being out, none of this is good. I think Jacksonville has a real chance. I think it's an upset too. I don't think anybody assumed that Jacksonville was going to win a playoff game, but I think they can get it done. I think Jacksonville absolutely can get it done. So I'm going to take Jacksonville over the Los Angeles Chargers to win a home playoff game and move on to get stomped out in the next round. But should be a good game. Should be probably one of the best games of the week, I would assume. And then Sunday morning, Sunday at noon, we got Miami at Buffalo. Very excited for this one just to see if Miami can maybe put some scare, maybe make some noise. If Tua plays, maybe they get that high power offense going, and then we see what's what. But Buffalo is a 10.5 point favorite at home. I kind of lean in the way of Vegas of saying that, yeah, I kind of think Buffalo maybe wins this by 2 touchdowns, especially if Tua's not playing. If Tua's not playing, 10.5 is not a big enough number. Buffalo will win by more than that. And like I said, I just don't give the sevens a big chance. So Miami at Buffalo, I'm going to take Buffalo in that. I think it's an easy win for Buffalo. The Giants at Minnesota. Minnesota, like I've said all year, I am not sold. Minnesota's a 3-point favorite at home. That's going to be the middle game on Sunday, and I think the Giants can very easily upset Minnesota here. I do not like Minnesota in these close games. I'm going to take the Giants here. I think the Giants are going to win. That's going to be a good one. Baltimore at Cincinnati rounds out your Sunday night. I don't see why it'd be any different than it was this weekend. Why? Because Lamar Jackson? Who cares? So Lamar Jackson gives you a couple more points, and that's why instead of being an 11.5 point favorite, Cincinnati's only a 6.5 point favorite. But I think they win by at least a touchdown. Cincinnati's been rolling, and I just don't. Y'all know I don't believe in Baltimore. So Cincinnati, I think, wins this game. Swaggy Joey moves on, and we'll talk about it. But I think we see a similar path to the Super Bowl as we did last year. Dallas at Tampa Bay is your Monday night football game. It will probably be one of the most watched games of the year because of the Cowgirls, but because it's also Tom Brady. This is not what Dallas wanted at all. They did not want to go to Tom Brady's house and have to play Tom Brady. This is a really, really bad news for them. But I of course, welcome to the Tom Brady hour. I'm going to go with my man. I'm going to go with Tom Brady. I really do, though. I really think that Dallas, as the way they looked against Washington this week and the way that Dak Prescott likes to fuck these games up, I do not believe in them at all. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay in that to easily win that game. So, yeah.
4th down.
All right, we're going to look into the crystal ball here. We're going to play a little playoff vision. I have a vision. I just made my picks for this week, so then I just wanted to kind of look down the road and see what I think's maybe going to play out in these playoffs. So let's say that it goes exactly the way that I said. Really, the only upset is that the Giants would be the lower seed that would then go visit Philly. In the AFC, I have all of the division champs winning, so there's no really weird thing that could happen there unless an underdog wins. I would imagine these are going to be your matchups in the AFC. It's going to be Jacksonville going to Kansas City and Cincinnati. How about this? I think Cincinnati beats Baltimore and Buffalo beats Miami. I think that's pretty safe to say. So your next lowest seeds are either 4 or 5. One of them Baltimore or Jacksonville. Buffalo is going to beat Miami, right? So Baltimore or Jacksonville is going to have to go to Kansas City. I think it's going to be Jacksonville because I think Cincinnati wins. And so you got Jacksonville at Kansas City for an absolute ass beating. I feel for, Jacksonville because they have had a great season and great come from behind, but I think Kansas City easily wins that game. Then I got Cincinnati beating Buffalo in Buffalo. I'm sorry. It won't be in Buffalo. It'll be in a neutral site. And I think that plays very well for Cincinnati. And I think that it does not play so well for Damar Hamlin Buffalo Bills, who are going to be very high on their emotions, and the way that they're playing are going to be probably a little stinted. And I just like Swaggy Joey. I think that he does a repeat of last year and he beats these good teams. I have them going on from there to go to Kansas City and beating them. I think that Joe Burrow's got ice in his veins, and I could see him going right back to another Super Bowl. So, but then we'll talk about it. So Philadelphia would then host the New York Giants if Minnesota loses. And I believe Philadelphia would easily win that game. I don't really believe in the Giants that much. I believe in them to beat Minnesota, but I don't think that they could beat Philadelphia. But I think it would be a good game. But I think Philadelphia wins. Okay, moving on. Tampa Bay at San Francisco. Now, this would be, to me, one of the hardest games of the year for Tom Brady and this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, who has not played great. But Brock Purdy also would be in a big pressure situation. He can beat Seattle, but can he beat Tom Brady, the GOAT, the greatest player of all time? They're going to be in San Francisco, where Tom Brady's from. I don't know. Of course, I'm not going to agree with that. I'm going to take Tom Brady in that scenario. Then that leads me to Tom Brady going to Philadelphia, okay, and playing upset there. I think, again, Jalen Hurts is very good, but we saw this last year where the moment got a little too big for him, and maybe Tom Brady was a part of that, and maybe Tom Brady can get that win over that 1-seed Philadelphia Eagles. That would then lead me to a Cincinnati Tampa Bay Super Bowl. Both of my guys in there, Swaggy Joey versus Tom Brady, and of course, I'm going to ride with my mans. Well, I guess they're both my mans, but Tom Brady's my mans, you know what I'm saying? And I think that Tom Brady wants to win one more. I think that's what he wants. I think Tampa Bay knows this is the last chance that we got with him, and we got to make it count. So I would love to see them continue and get him another Super Bowl. Of course, I'm dreaming of a lot there, but that is what I see. I got to take this phone call. I love y'all. Fuck off. Ah!